You can look across every which way you're going to measure the success of your software implementation or technology implementation. The single most important metric for success is adoption, because you can invest everything. You can set up the perfect governance, have the integration, have everything there. But if you do not have the change management in place, if you do not get the adoption, the participation, your value is gone. And you're just going to keep tripping over the issues and never realize the true value.
New choices, new players, new models of care. You know consumer-first healthcare is everywhere. For us to build the future, to see what's new, we gotta look at the world from a different point of view. Consumer innovation ain't going away. I say it's here to stay. Today it leads the way. We gotta drop the silos. We're all the same team. Experience, business, tech, and marketing. So join us now. Join the revolution. Consumer-first health is the evolution. Status quo or like status no. Yeah, this is the healthcare rap. Yo, come on, let's go.
Hey, welcome back to the leading podcast about consumer-centered health. We highlight innovators who are bridging the gap between sick care and well care, influencing change in the industry, and empowering consumers with cool new ways to engage in their health and wellness. We're also having some fun along the way. I'm Jared Johnson, and this is episode 472. Today, we have the Flava of the week about the Pharma Direct-To-Patient trend. Where are pharma giants placing their bets right now, and how aggressively are they pushing to own more of the consumer relationship? I'll talk about that. Then Jim Murray from BDO shares how leaders can balance the excitement of AI innovation with the discipline of proper planning, how he helps organizations decide where to invest first, and why adoption might be the only metric that really matters. It's time for the awesomeness, y'all. Are you ready? Let's go.
Flava of the week.
Pharma has entered the chat and is making a play to own the direct-to-patient space. On November 10th, Rock Health published a report titled Pharma's Direct-to-Patient Era, Building Beyond Table Stakes. It described the steady wave of DTP launches over the past 2 years that have reshaped pharma's digital landscape. They noted how Eli Lilly's Lilly Direct came first in early 2024, followed by Pfizer for All in the fall of 2024, and Novo Nordisk's NovoCare earlier this year. More recently, AstraZeneca, Boehringer Ingelheim, Amgen, and Novartis have joined the roster, announcing their own targeted DTP launches in September and October of this year. The article explains that for pharma leaders, the opportunity extends beyond building another digital front door. When done right, DTP models can not only expand care access and strengthen treatment continuity for patients, but it can also create brand lift, improve margin, and generate novel insights from patient interactions. Done poorly, they risk adding noise to an already fragmented system. Under the banner of DTP, pharma companies are building out digital pathways that connect patients directly to care, from navigating and prescribing to payment, home delivery, and longitudinal support. This is a shift driven by three big forces: rising consumer expectations, the normalization of digital care journeys, and a market where the winners will be the ones who partner, personalize, and perform. What stands out is how aggressively pharma is starting to own more of the consumer relationship. Pharma companies are no longer content to sit at arm's length behind providers and payers. They're building connective tissue across the care journey, from education and demand gen to navigation, adherence support, and ongoing engagement. And they're doing it knowing full well that consumers expect the same level of usability and personalization that they get from every other experience brand in their lives. Rock Health's report noted that most pharma DTP initiatives are still stuck at the table stakes layer. Think branded websites, patient support programs, email journeys, and hub services. Is that necessary? Absolutely. Is it differentiating? I wouldn't say they're quite there yet. What's the consumer lens? Consumers are done navigating fragmented experiences just to get the therapy that they need. They want fewer handoffs, clearer guidance, and support that adapts to them, not the other way around. Any player who understands this truth will be better suited to offer products and services that people will actually use. Because from where I'm standing, consumers have never been more open to exploring new ways to get healthier, and every subprime digital experience with a provider just adds to that feeling. So yes, the door is open for everyone to innovate around the consumer, just as it has been for years. And while pharma seems to be pushing its way through that doorway at the moment, the call to action extends to everyone, from providers to consumer brands to digital health, to cross that threshold and once and for all, create healthcare that people want and need. Let's explore more direct-to-patient offerings and cheer for a healthier America as a result. That's another way that we'll build the healthcare of tomorrow, and that's the Flava of the week. Hey y'all, I'm here with Israel Crush, founder of Hyro. Israel, what's an easy to understand example of how an AI agent can help consumers in their health journeys?
A simple section would be the fact that instead of enrolling into Medicaid and proving that you're eligible once a year, you need to do it once every 6 months. Patients don't know that. So we said, you know what, we're going to get ahead of that and we're going to educate patients about some of those changes and try to get them re-enrolled or redetermine their enrollment into those programs to make sure that one, they're covered, and two, that the health system gets paid or reimbursed for those patients. So I think that's like a clear win-win where you create an AI agent that is proactively helping both patients and health systems with issues that they face and make, again, the journey a little less complicated.
Thanks, Israel. Visit hyro.ai for more information. That's HYRO.ai. And tell them you heard about it on Healthcare Wrap.
Healthcare Wrap is sponsored by Cyril. Whether you're trying to drive patient volume as a healthcare provider, boost membership enrollment as a health insurer, drive improved adherence rates in pharma, or deepen strategic B2B partnerships throughout the healthcare ecosystem, Cyril can help you with your go-to-market efforts and growth targets, enabling you to reach the clinical and financial goals of your healthcare organization. For more information, go to Cyril.com. That's CYRALL.com.
All right, everyone, let's get into the flow. I'm here with Jim Murray. Jim is the managing director of the BDO Center for Healthcare Excellence and Innovation. Jim, welcome to the Healthcare Wrap.
Thank you, Jared. Really excited to be here.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. My background, my career spans a little over 30 years now. That surprises me sometimes. Really in healthcare informatics, infrastructure, interoperability, really with a focus on helping organizations harness technology to drive operational improvements, excellence, and patient outcomes, of course. I've worked at some amazing institutions, including Mass General Brigham and CVS Health. Here at BDO, I work with clients to kind of bridge the gap between the strategy and execution, particularly in digital transformation and healthcare technology, trying to help them ensure that those investments deliver measurable value.
And help us understand when you're talking about like digital transformation and operations and strategy, is that on the clinical side, the business side, like which, just to help center us a little bit or give us some context?
So the short answer is yes. On the clinical side, on the business side, what we find is in a lot of healthcare organizations, obviously there's a focus on the clinical need and the patient outcomes and delivering the highest quality and safe care. But you find an overlap in what you do there can drive more efficient business operations, and leveraging the right technology can help you do that better and also create a very efficient environment and just a well-oiled machine at times.
Nice. Well, what I'm hearing is that you kind of work at this intersection of informatics, infrastructure, interoperability. So maybe I could pick your brain here just to start off in terms of like what you're seeing out there.
I think there's so many answers to that question, but when you look at how those, the informatics and interoperability in particular come together, it's all about data-driven care. It's about leveraging the data that really already exists within the healthcare ecosystem, harnessing it for maybe more personalized medicine, or for something we talked about several years ago about population health. But now you have the improvements in technology that if you can gather the correct data and structure it and codify it correctly, you can put it to work, driving some operational efficiency. You can streamline workflows. You can do some automation in there and lift the, what I like to call administrative burden off, whether it's the provider or the front desk person. You can help make their job easier. They're going to be able to focus more on the patients, and that's going to drive patient engagement, which you enhance that experience for the patient. You will raise the level of engagement, which is really cool because a more engaged patient, it's going to result in better outcomes.
Well, let's double down on that a little bit. When you're talking talking about infrastructure and interoperability in particular. How can leaders balance the excitement? There's excitement and then there's hype and then there's overhype. And like the hype cycle right now is just off the charts. So how can leaders balance the excitement of AI innovation with the discipline of the planning and evaluation that have to happen to make it actually effective?
I think that's one of the hardest challenges I'm seeing with my clients today is there's so much hype. Everyone feels like they need to do this. They want to do this. They want to run after this technology. And I try in particular to work with them to make sure they understand the governance piece of it and how do you establish and control and measure the success of these programs so you know where to drive your investments from there. So some of the things that I like to bring forward is definitely governance and how do we make sure that you have all the right organizations involved and all the right people involved, but then bringing forth pilot programs where you can start small and measure the outcomes very quickly and build on that, iterate on that, improve it. So you start to see value, but you do it in kind of a contained way under the guise of governance and making sure that you get the stakeholders to the table, making sure that someone isn't just like, hey, we want AI, go do it, and then disconnecting for months before they see an outcome that, hey, that's not what I wanted. There's standard things that you would do in any technical implementation in healthcare, but with AI, there's so much hype around it now, it's even more critical to get that governance piece in.
Hey y'all, I'm here with Sina Arham, founder of Fridays Health. Sina, what do you think is broken in the traditional approach to metabolic health, and what are you doing to flip the script?
Let's be honest, the moment in metabolic health is being driven by the GLP-1 receptor agonist class of medications, right? We finally have something that is addressing metabolic health, obesity, and type 2 diabetes in an elegant fashion, right? It's efficacious, it's manageable for patients. And so I think we're having our moment in metabolic health in that the old guard of tackling metabolic health and obesity has a lot of stigma attached to it, a lot of shame and blame and guilt.
Thanks, Sina. Visit joinfridays.com for more information and tell them you heard about it from the Healthcare Wrap. Clearly, you have to still think crawl, walk, run, or whatever analogy you want to use of starting where you are now before you get to the super effective, like super well-oiled machine, as you described. So what is some of that foundational work that still needs to happen when it comes to AI, like for organizations to really see value there when we're talking about infrastructure and interoperability and some of the other pieces that you've been focusing on?
I think Jared, you're going to see me go back to data once again, and you're going to see that's a theme with me, clean, accessible data. You've got to have, not only do you need AI governance, but you need data governance and integration. You've got to bring that information together. It's got to be codified. It's got to be structured. Everyone's got to understand how it is existing in a particular environment. What authorities do you have to use that information? We're talking about patients' healthcare data, so privacy is front and center. Some of my best partnerships have been with the chief privacy officers of different organizations so they can understand it. Another piece is modern infrastructure. We did not or could not support some of the compute activity that's happening today just a few years ago. And so moving to a more scalable, more secure cloud environment or a cloud hybrid environment is critical. And then the interoperability standards that primarily out of the government, but there's growing adoption there. I think that has to be set by the organization saying we are going to adhere to this standard or that standard and build from there. So it becomes a part of their infrastructure, really adhering to those standards. So you don't have a lot of crazy integration happening and cross-mapping of data that only one person understands.
And I think for those listeners who aren't involved in the day-to-day implementation of what you just described, it's worth just noting like how challenging that is to do it right. The data governance, the data integration piece, and to not be wasting time, wasting workflows in the process of that. So just wanted to highlight that because it is not easy. There is so much data we're talking about. I guess part of that has to do with clearly the investment side of that. So I'm curious, how you help that side of it, like how you help organizations decide where to invest first, especially when resources are limited, when there's pressure to, like you said, there's pressure to have results right away. So that's really high. How do you help? Like, is there a framework or a process that you just kind of help walk them through to understand how to invest to achieve this goal that you're describing?
I think it's easy to say align with your strategy, but looking at long-term goals and what are the goals for what you're about to implement. You want to do A, B, and C. What goal does that map back to? You want growth in the organization. You want growth of revenue. You want growth in volume. You want to decrease turnover, maybe. Looking at all the different aspects of a healthcare environment, figuring out, okay, which technology, which project, which area of investment is going to align with those. Once you're there, then back to those pilot programs and quick wins. What can you do quickly to show value, iterate, and grow? Because each one of these smaller projects within the overall strategy, you want it to build upon each other. You want it to keep going. So identify any initiatives with a fast ROI, because that will build momentum. And then focusing on projects that are solving the really pressing pain points that you have, or it could be regulatory requirements. Those always drop in. A lot of organizations now are struggling with physician or clinician burnout, turnover, just a general shortage in the healthcare workforce. So they're looking at how we can use some of this technology to prioritize the impact, which is a better working environment, less turnover, that sort of thing. That's just one example.
What's one mistake you're seeing health systems making maybe more often when it comes to their data or tech strategy? And how do you help them correct that? Like, what's your advice for correcting it?
I think the biggest mistake that I've seen, and we help to, and it's difficult to guide them away, is individuals and organizations are falling in love with the solution. They're falling in love with the technology, whether it's a piece of software, whether it's a structure, whether it could be just a technology idea. They're falling in love with that. What they really need to do is fall in love with the problem. They need to understand the problem that they're facing, not just that, hey, we've got a high turnover or we've got an inefficient process, but dig down deep into why that's happening. What is the source? It's probably going to come back to data. And then they're going to have to, once they understand that, they have a much more critical eye to the solutions that are coming out there and that are being hyped and that are the shiny new thing out there. I think underneath that, falling in love with the problem is a greater understanding of the data quality and integration challenges. Like you said before, it's like, oh, integration should be easy, right? And so by kind of exposing that a little bit more, they can be more knowledgeable going in, and they can, if they invest earlier in data governance and interoperability. And one thing that we haven't said too much about is the change management piece. This can be a big change for organizations. And if you're making those investments sooner, you're going to make sure the technology choices that you're making kind of align with the organizational workflows, whether they're new workflows or old workflows, and the goals of the organization. But falling in love with the solution is probably the biggest mistake I've seen.
I like that. And it definitely ties to change management. That theme has surfaced a lot this year. So I think it's right in line with what we've heard from other sides of the industry. So I think that's spot on in terms of change management needing to be enough of a priority. That means teams are investing in it and leveling up, educating up, skilling with something that could feel like, at least in years past, a soft skill when it almost makes all the difference in a case like this.
Absolutely.
Like, it's so important.
I have said this in many projects I've led at different institutions, that you can look across every which way you're going to measure the success of your, call it software implementation or technology implementation, whatever you're doing. The single most valuable or single most important metric for the project for success is adoption. Because you can invest everything, you can set up the perfect governance, have the integration, have everything there. But if you do not have the change management in place, if you do not get the adoption, the participation, your value is gone. And you're just going to keep tripping over the issues and never realize the true value. So it may be considered a soft skill, but it is a vital skill.
As are a lot of skills that are keys to implementation today. Jim, as you look ahead, I think this is a well-stated accurate representation of the current state. So as you look ahead, and I used to say, hey, 3 to 5 years. Now I'm looking at like the next few months. I can't imagine 12 to 18 months from now, just how things are going to be different. But if we project a little bit, what do you think that next 12 to 18 months will reveal about how well healthcare is improving in these areas? So integrating AI into operational workflows and all of the other pieces that come with that process. What do you expect that to look like? How do you think we'll see it differently at that point?
I think with AI in particular, you're going to see some of the early adopters that are seeing some success are going to start scaling up, and they're going to be able to scale much faster than we've done without AI. So you're going to see a lot more operational use cases. It's going to be hitting you in different spots, whether you're just a patient or on the provider or even on the payer side. I've worked with payers and providers, and I think you're going to see just a huge scale up on both sides there. With that scale up is going to come some growing pains. We're going to find challenges. I mentioned data quality, mentioned integration. One that we haven't talked about is the clinician trust. I think that's as we scale up and introduce more AI, I think clinicians are going to be challenging more of it in a good way. I think it's an excellent part of this puzzle. And so I think it's a good thing, but I think that it will be a growing pain as we learn, do we have the proper governance? Have we engaged the clinical leadership and the privacy leadership and the change management and all those other things? And then I think out of some of those challenges, we're going to see a greater regulatory focus. And regulatory agencies don't tend to move quickly, ever. But I think in this scenario, in the next 12 to 18 months, you're going to see them at least start investigating and focusing on the introduction of AI in healthcare from a safety and ethics and transparency. I think another key part of AI success is having transparency and explainability. People have to be able to understand what it's doing, why it's doing it, and be able to explain it in simple language.
Jim, as we start to wrap here, I'm curious where you are personally, kind of where you're feeling about all these things that we've been discussing. Yes, there's a road ahead to get healthcare to a better place, especially when we're talking about data integration. And yet I still generally feel a lot of hope for where we are and where we're headed. I'm wondering what you feel in terms of what gives you hope for the future of healthcare in our country.
I've seen it grow and change a lot over the decades, and there is still a commitment to collaboration and a commitment to innovation. And that goes across providers, payers, technology partners. With the right governance structure and a focus on patient outcomes, I think we're poised to make a massive impact on healthcare. And I think the AI in particular, I see very soon a massive and targeted adoption of AI. And for me, it's really around the shortage in the workforce. So we've got to lift this administrative burden, and AI gives us the tools to do it. We can make being a clinician or being a healthcare support person a better existence for them, which will translate directly to a better patient experience. And I believe better patient outcomes and an even higher quality of care. It's a very high quality across our country now, but I think it will drive it even higher. And that's what gives me hope for the future. I've seen the collaboration and innovation and targeting this new technology, what I think is one of the core problems, and that's the shortage in the workforce.
Jim, I want to thank you for joining us today, for giving us just kind of a state of the state, helping us better understand what the opportunities are here for healthcare organizations. And I want to thank you for everything you're doing to make healthcare consumer first. That's what the show's all about. So appreciate your time today.
Absolutely. It was great to be with you, Jared. Thank you very much.